Hey YouTube, Dawson Ryder here. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about whether it's worthy or not to watch Gozyuger. I don't know why I said worthy like it was Thor. He who is worthy should wield watching Gozyuger. Usually around this time of year, I do kind of like why you should be watching this series type of video for either Sentai or a writer, but I think the conversation and circumstances around Gozyuger is interesting. I mean, just in general, kind of make up your own mind. I don't understand people that will let any kind of reviews form their opinion. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people like that, you know, kind of the Rotten Tomatoes brain. And I also just can't understand, like, for me personally, the way I'm a fan of things, unless something really, like, irks me, I can't, like, never watch it. Like, even if there's a series like Gotchard or other series I've stopped watching, I always know I'm eventually going to watch it. It's kind of like taking a pause. But I just can't imagine outright never finishing a series and then criticizing the whole series even though you've never seen it. So it really depends on what type of fan you are, whether you're watching Gozyuger, you don't want to watch it, you started watching it and didn't like it. The only reason I'm doing it differently is because not that I think Gozyuger's bad or it doesn't warrant a why you should be watching it video, because overall, I have my criticisms, I have my nitpicks, but I'm really enjoying it. I've been trying to go in with a more positive mindset, and that's the reason I'm doing a slightly different video, because I feel it's an interesting kind of Elseworlds feeling. Usually, you know, if you followed me on the channel, I've been kind of sick in us being like waterboarded with Toku crossovers and cameos and anniversary stuff, and this being kind of rushed up to 49 and them changing it makes it feel so soon, but I got tired of kind of being a bummer about it. I still hope that they cool it a little bit after this and, you know, make it special again. I would still love that, but I was trying to go into the series with more of a positive mindset because I didn't like that I was kind of sounding like, with Toku or especially with Sentai right now, all the other fandoms that I just cannot stand. Everyone has just become such a miserable whiner. We can't like anything. Fans have become just this outlet of people getting together to hate stuff, and I didn't like that I was sounding like that, so I was going in with a more positive mindset. Then it took me back that, like, there was episodes I wasn't saying this is the most amazing thing ever, but in general, I was enjoying it, kind of brushing off things that were irking me a little bit more, and I've seen a lot more people not really liking the show, and it was just so interesting because it felt so opposite, whereas before I was like, oh, I hate this crossover stuff, yada yada yada, and people were like, you gotta learn to have fun, and now I'm like, well, this part's a little mixed, you know, maybe they'll reveal this later, but this was a lot of fun, especially the Sentai fights, you know, the legend fights, and then people were like, no, man, this is too shallow, it's too silly, I hate it. It's just like, man, I'm always just on the opposite side by accident. So, with the series having kind of a mixed reception and a mixed delivery, is it worth a watch? I would say so. Honestly, I'm having fun. It just depends on how you feel about the series. Obviously, there's going to be people that just don't jive with it, because it does have a very weird rhythm. Like, right from the beginning, it can be a sillier show. It's one of the silliest shows I've seen, though, in terms of Toku. Like, I've seen silly Toku, but this in particular has some of the weirdest moments I've ever seen, just in terms of the feeling, and even just the rhythm of the... I use that word a lot, but I can't think of a better word for it. Just the delivery of even the action sequences blended with the silliness, blended with some of the delivery, especially in the first couple episodes, it's got such a strange vibe and rhythm to it, which is just really weird, so I can see how I can put people off. I mean, I'm sure there's people that were put off by several things and might never come back, but if you're in a spot where you're just not fully vibing with it, you don't hate it, I would say maybe it's a show you just wait for it to end, and I think it would be a good binge. Because at least when it comes to the mythology also, it kind of reminds me of Geo, where there's some really clunky things about the deliveries and mysteries and the way things work, but if we stick it out till the end, I don't think it'll all be answered perfectly. There are very rare Toku series where everything is answered perfectly, but with like Geo, I got mad way too quick at certain things, but by the end, it kind of smoothed everything over. Not perfectly, but a lot of things make more sense with full context. So I think if you're that type of person where it's kind of putting you off, but you're kind of still interested, I would maybe wait for it to either be over or for there to be a good deal of episodes and binge them. Because there's been a lot of series like that where I found them to be better when I watch at my own leisure. Like, maybe I only feel like watching one episode, or maybe I sat down and one episode I wasn't vibing with, so I take a break. Maybe next time I feel like watching 5. And then also, if you're irked about some things, then the picture might become clear when you get to see the full arc or the full story. So I would say that, because I think there's a great deal to like, even though it is very strange, and some of the more strange elements aren't my thing, and I would be more interested in the serious elements and the lore. It's still been a lot of fun. Like, the first episode was one of the craziest Sentai pilots I've ever seen in terms of the action. Like I said, I'm going to use the word again one more time, the rhythm, some of the plot reveals and surprises I didn't expect, and also going in with the mindset of trying to have fun with the anniversary stuff. There's a lot to like here with that. You know, I kind of like that the Gokai changes have the over armor, and I like that we have the warrior red, some of which have been familiar faces, some not. I think that adds a lot of variety to the storytelling. You never know who's going to show up next. And then you have our recent Ring Hunter that can kind of summon things DN style, but then you can also kind of morph them into weapons, kind of the way that like Zenkaiger would do that in a way. Like, Zenkaiger had this thing where the Sentai rings gave him powers inspired by the Sentai, and we've seen that with the Legendary Reds and with Ring Hunter in a way. And if you embrace that and have fun, they're kind of using all the different elements, and it's a lot of fun to see. And then you have moments where like Daijujin shows up, and that's like just really cool. So there's been big moments like that, or when Ring Hunter showed up, there were some exciting moments. Like the delivery is very mixed. Like there are very few episodes that I think have been perfect. Like I think my favorite two are probably the first, which is a little bit all over the place, but I was absolutely loving it. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Remember that? Did they still do that? I'm loving it. And the Kinjiro episode. Kinjiro is my favorite character in the series. I think he's such a unique character, and it was also the first time we did start to get some more characterization. It takes a minute to get there, but I think from Kinjiro's introduction through now, we've slowly started to have more grounded character moments. It's not as like investing or as even grounded as Boom Boomdra, in my opinion, where the characters felt more real and I felt more invested in them personally. I'm more so having fun with this, but they're slowly getting there. And I think if you just kind of go in with the mindset where you're along for the ride and you're maybe interested in the story, because I really am interested to see how this story comes together with the legendary Sentai, who's going to show up in terms of cameos, what type of movies we're going to get. I'm really curious about the picture they're painting. So that has me coming back. But also I've just been having a lot of fun with it. If you just lean into that and you are a person that can have fun, because I know there's a lot of people told me in the comments that just, turn your brain off or whatever and just have fun with it, accept it for what it is. I'm not always going to be able to do that, but I really try to sit down with that mindset, and it's been really rewarding. Like I said, those two episodes that I mentioned are probably my favorite. All the other ones have been relatively mixed. It's not that I'm like making it immune from criticism. I'm just saying that it's a lot more fun when you try to like focus on the good and kind of wait for the full picture to reveal itself, because there is a lot about it that reminds me of Geo, like I said, in terms of the mythology and the questions and the contradictions. But I'm going to wait until the end of the series to see the whole picture before I start really getting bothered by some things. And it's really interesting. I was trying to think, it's not really like Gokaiger at all, except for the changes. Well, the changes, and I think there is an aspect to the team not really knowing what a Sentai is, but you know what I mean in general. Gokaiger was a very different show. It's more similar to Zenkaiger, but it's interesting where Zenkaiger and Gozyuger are so similar and so different at the same time, in terms of they're taking a lighter approach but in a very different way. Like Zenkaiger was very outwardly comedic, but they also did have a lot of nice, quiet character moments that took me by surprise. Almost every episode contributed to a story, which was interesting. And this one's kind of more all over the place, where the zaniness isn't traditional, it's very weird, and they have had grounded character moments, but oddly enough, at least in this episode, or at least at this point in the series, outside of a couple moments like with Kinjiro and stuff, I think that Zenkaiger had much more grounded, realistic feeling people in terms of the tones of the series, which is interesting. It's just so interesting to compare those two, and I'll be fascinated how it all turns out, because I'll probably do like an anniversary ranking or discussion talking about all of them, and I think Gokaiger is still gonna be number one. Like, not like in a biased way, well, in a biased way, because like I'm liking this, not that this is bad, but it's like I can't imagine, unless they just absolutely, from episode 10 onwards, because this is coming out before episode 10, just blow me away. Like, Gokaiger really set the standard. Like, I don't think everything needs to compare to Gokaiger either. That's a separate tangent. Anyway, bottom line is, should you watch Gozyuger? I'd say so, yes. This isn't the type of show with like Boom Boomdra where I think it was kind of underrated. I think it's very mixed and messy. I wouldn't call it a great show, but I would call it a very enjoyable show if you can kind of enjoy, for lack of a better word, the more superficial aspects of Toku and just get into it. That's another thing. I think the fights are really good in this. They're not as sophisticated as the Boom Boomdra ones in terms of I thought they had more grounded fights sometimes, but also really more intricate stunts. But they really do grit. They really do get creative here with the fights, and it kind of keeps that tradition from King Odra onwards. I think Sentai fights have been elevated, so that's another reason. So if you can just kind of enjoy the fun aspects and you're interested to see where the anniversary story goes, I think it's worth it. It's a good time when you go in with an open mind, but it's not going to be for everyone. I was a poet and I didn't even know I rhymed those words. But like I said, my other recommendation, if you're kind of on the fence where you're not really feeling it, but you kind of want to see it, maybe take a break. Wait for the end of the series, or do kind of what I've done in the past with series I wasn't vibing with, is not maybe wait for it to end, but just take a chunk of time off and then watch it. I always find sometimes when I'm able to get away from the week to week and the weekly conversation, I can give the series a better chance. But what do you think? How are you feeling about Gozyuger? If you are watching it, do you recommend it to people? Let me know in the comments as always. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell. Awesome Writer, signing out.